Ah, the Caribbean vacation. Rest, relaxation, rum punch, repeat. But the resorts that dot the coasts of islands like Bermuda, Puerto Rico, and Jamaica aren't necessarily the real Caribbean, or for that matter, the best places to go. For that, you have to be willing to do some exploring. But here's a little secret. It's worth it. Fish so fresh it practically swims onto your plate. A brand new high-end luxury resort, so remote, hardly anyone even knows it's there. A private island you can rent for you and your friends. And one of the most secluded and beautiful beaches in the world. Where can you find all this? That's an island secret. St. Vincent and the Grenadines may just be the most beautiful and unspoiled islands in the Caribbean Sea, spread out over 150 square miles of impossibly blue water in the southern Caribbean below St. Lucia. Of the 32 islands and cays that make up the chain, only 9 are inhabited. And you'll need to do some zooming in on Google Maps to find them.
It's like a secret place. It's almost like no one knows about it.
Each island has its own charm, its own character.
The northernmost island, St. Vincent, is the largest and home to the capital city of Kingstown. Though the islands gained their independence in 1979, they are still a member of the British Commonwealth. The good news is they speak English. The bad news is they drive on the left side of the road. St. Vincent and the Grenadines are not the place to go if you're looking for a quick weekend getaway. It would take the whole weekend just to get there and back. The only commercial airport is St. Vincent's E.T. Joshua, but it's not that commercial. But it is cool if you're into that 60s retro feel.
It's got lots of character. One little building, you go in, basically one terminal, your little baggage claim, you go out, you get in your taxi.
Only 2 commercial airlines fly there, and you probably haven't heard of either one of them. Which means from the US, your best bet is to fly to Barbados first, then catch one of the few flights a day to St. Vincent.
You're flying in from Barbados, it's about a 50-minute flight. It's not cheap to get here.
Once you do get there, it's definitely not your ordinary vacation spot. Hardly any tourists make the effort.
Compared to like Barbados or Bermuda or those islands where everybody knows, I think of St. Vincent and the Grenadines as kind of like a little secret. Like it's not somewhere that you would normally think to go.
Imagine unwrapping layers of the best tasting chocolate, and then you come to the center and it's this fantastic sweet. That is St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You know, we just tantalize in every way. So why not go through all that trouble to get here?
The favorite food of the Vincentians, or Vincies as they call themselves, is breadfruit, as common in the islands as French fries are back home.
Breadfruit is everywhere in the Caribbean. It's kind of like potatoes that grow on trees. You can roast it, fry it, it's delicious.
But in a remote town at the far end of the island, there's a restaurant that serves what might be the best breadfruit and seafood in the world. It's called Ferdy's Footsteps. Like getting to St. Vincent itself, getting out to the little town of Georgetown is a bit of an adventure. But you're up for it, right? You'll go through small towns, cut across coconut plantations, and pass some colonial ruins along the way. If you time it right, you'll see the kids on their way to and from school. You won't find bigger smiles or friendlier faces anywhere.
Well, best boy ever!
And don't be in a hurry. The road is narrow and winding, and the views of the sea are breathtaking.
The views from the volcanic cliffs of St. Vincent are unlike anything else in the Caribbean.
Once you do get to Georgetown, look for the somewhat weather-worn sign to Ferdy's Footsteps. You won't have any trouble finding a table. It's never crowded. And don't ask for a menu.
You can get fish, you can get shrimps, anything you want, as a matter of fact. Just tell Fordy and he'll prepare it for you.
And no matter what you order, it's going to come with a big helping of roasted breadfruit.
And this is the breadfruit that is famous in St. Vincent. It's our dish that we use, breadfruit and saltfish, breadfruit and goat. And if you notice, we do strictly local food. Like today you having fish, it's local. What you're seeing on this plate is strictly local.
You feel awesome when you finish eating. You lick your fingers, and say, wow, he has special seasoning he put in his food. So you get a special taste. Yeah, so it make you feel good, happy. When you finish eating, you feel happy.
The food at Ferdy's is definitely worth the trip, but Georgetown is hiding another secret, one of the most remote and private swimming holes in the Caribbean. To get there, head a mile back on the road and look for Black Point Tunnel.
The history on Black Point Tunnel is pretty amazing.
The tunnel was built by a British plantation owner around 1815, using manual labor to blast through 360 feet of volcanic rock. Little is known about its construction, but walking through it, you get a real sense of how difficult it must have been to complete.
Black Point Tunnel was used in a time when the boats were wooden and the men were made of steel.
The tunnel was built to transport sugar from the mills on one side of the point to the wharf on the other. Before then, it had to be hauled around the treacherous cliffs at the tip of the island.
So they found a shorter way of transporting the sugar, which I think is amazing because in those days, you know, for them to dig out that tunnel, you know, it's pretty cool.
And here's where the secret swimming hole can be found, if you know where to look. Hike a little ways along the cliff, and you'll find a natural pool. Hardly anyone even knows it's there.
I hang out with a lot of Vincentians, and no one has ever told me about this little pool at the end of Black Point Tunnel.
Not all of St. Vincent is as remote as Georgetown. The island's capital is the bustling city of Kingstown. And at the heart of the city is the Kingstown Market. Every Saturday morning, Vincentians gather in their capital to buy, sell, and haggle over everything from beets to bananas.
There's about, I would say, 100 different stalls selling local fruits and vegetables and pretty much anything you're looking for.
One of the first things you'll probably notice is the lack of tourists in the market. There are no cheap souvenirs or tchotchkes on display. This is the real Caribbean, but that doesn't mean the vendors won't make you feel welcome.
We don't give you a prepackaged, you know, tourist experience. You come and you become a part of our Vincentian family.
There are a lot more secrets to uncover in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. If you think St. Vincent is rustic and out of the way, hop on the ferry and set sail for the little island of Bequia. There you'll find an extremely cool local bar and what may be the remotest beach in the Caribbean Sea.
It's like going on a time warp when you arrive to Bequia. It's almost like they're part of a secret club.
The 32 islands that make up St. Vincent and the Grenadines are some of the most pristine and undiscovered in the Caribbean.
Why is St. Vincent the best spot in the world? It is because it's just unspoiled by you people.
The main island of St. Vincent serves as the jumping off point for the others, ranging from the exclusive island of Mystique to the many uninhabited volcanic islands that stretch out to the north and are accessible only by boat. About 5 miles off the southern coast of St. Vincent is the bucolic island of Bequia.
There's no McDonald's, there's no Kentucky Fried Chicken, there's Bequia chicken.
The best way to get to Bequia is to get up early and head to the ferry docks in Kingstown. This isn't a ferry designed to carry tourists, it's a working ferry and the lifeline of the remote island. The trip takes about an hour, and if you're used to traveling on a huge cruise ship with stabilizers and bow thrusters, hold on to your seat and hopefully your breakfast. If you're not opposed to getting a little roller coaster mixed in with your ferry trip, it's well worth the adventure. Don't worry, the waves do subside once you cross the channel and round the bend into the harbor.
First experience of Bequia was getting off a boat in the harbour, setting a foot on the shore and finding this bustling but small and beautiful little harbour side.
The little town of Port Elizabeth looks like it hasn't changed in 20 years, and that's because it hasn't.
It's so quiet and tranquil. You can feel the breezes come through, and it just makes you feel peaceful.
A must stop in Port Elizabeth is Moran's Ice Cream, right down along the harbor side.
Moran's Ice Cream is one of the great eateries on Bequia. Whether it be 4 o'clock in the afternoon and you're getting a little bit hot and you fancy a bit of ice cream, it's fantastic homemade ice cream.
Okay. Very rummy.
It's really tasty.
This is my third ice cream today.
You won't find Moran's Ice Cream in a store, or anywhere else for that matter.
If you want to try it, you got to come here.
She makes it all by hand, from fresh, local ingredients.
Moran started this business probably about 20 years ago, and it's amazing the amount of flavors she has. she goes and buys the coconuts and makes the ice cream.
Do you really like crowded beaches? We didn't think so. Well, if you've come to Bequia, you've come to the right place. Princess Margaret Beach, named after, well, Princess Margaret, is one of the most secret and secluded beaches in the world.
The most unique thing about Princess Margaret's for me is that it is virtually undeveloped, and that is fairly unusual for the Caribbean.
The only problem is getting to it. Once you do make it down the road, you'll likely find yourself completely alone, except for maybe a few yachts anchored in the distance.
My boyfriend and I were just walking towards the end, and we discovered this cave. I mean, it was pretty amazing. Very romantic, I have to say, because we went inside, and it's almost like it's cut off from the beach.
The cave has been eroded by waves and wind over the centuries, but it's one of the most unique volcanic formations you'll find anywhere.
You have your little pool area underneath there. It's kind of dark, and so it's a really magical place.
And speaking of magical, if you're a fan of fresh seafood, hop on the back of a pickup truck and head down the coast toward the little fishing village of Paget Farm. The people of Paget Farm have a long tradition as boat builders, a tradition which continues to this day. The tools may have changed a bit, but the handmade quality and methods have remained unchanged for a century or more. Once these boats get their final coat of paint, they go to work. The deep waters off Bequia are fertile fishing grounds, and there may be no fresher fish to be had on the planet than a Toco's step-down bar. And it's a heck of a fun place to hang out and have a few rum cocktails, too.
Yeah, we are here at Toco's, the best place in the Caribbean to be.
It's very unique in the sense that usually only locals go there to drink, party, and to eat one of the nice local dishes.
Toco buys his fish fresh off the boat, seasons it, and into the pan it goes.
Fish, shark, lobster, conch, whale, anything from the seawater island.
It's a fantastic place if you want to try local food, such as the more unusual whale and turtle, and a great place to hang out with the local fishermen.
You may be tempted to pull up a picnic table and hang out at Toco's all day, and trust us, many people do. But there's a lot more exploring to do on Bequia. Unlike the more developed islands of the Caribbean, there are no big resorts on Bequia, or even small ones. But that's not to say there's no place to stay. In keeping with Bequia's land that time forgot vibe, the best place to lay your head after a long day of experiencing the old Caribbean is the Old Fort.
You reach the end of the Mount Pleasant Road and you reach the Old Fort, and it feels like a total little hidden paradise at the end of the road.
When I was here the last time, I woke up one morning and it took my breath away. It was so beautiful.
The Old Fort was built in the 1700s by some of the first Europeans to come to the Caribbean.
It wasn't really a military fort. It was rather a stronghold, to hold up against some Carib intruders or whatever, pirates would come ashore.
Today, it's one of the most exclusive and unique hotels in the Caribbean, and still one of its best kept secrets.
Many celebrities have stayed here over the years, such as MIA and then Arnold Schwarzenegger and Drew Barrymore, who came to spend time here by the pool and just relax and get away.
When you're up here, you feel that the entire place is yours, so you have a little piece of Bequia.
At 7 square miles, Bequia is actually the largest island in the Grenadines. But if you're looking for something really small, so small you can rent the whole thing, then Young Island is for you.
The first reaction when I meet guests at the dock is, oh wow, I feel like I've landed on a Robinson Crusoe island.
At just 12.5 acres, Young Island may be one of the smallest inhabited islands in the Caribbean. But there's plenty to do there.
You hang out on the beach all day, the hammock, they've got sailboats and kayaks you can paddle around. You can go over to the coconut bar, have a drink, play tennis, there's a pool, and hang out with the parrots.
Just off the southern shore of St. Vincent, It doesn't take long to get to Young Island. Not long at all.
We have a little ferry that meets our guests and brings them over from our jetty on mainland St. Vincent over to Young Island, and the journey is just about 3 minutes.
But once you land, you can tell you've arrived someplace very special.
When you think about a Caribbean island or like a getaway place, this is exactly what you would imagine. The hammocks and the water and everything.
Young Island became a resort in the 1950s, and a pretty exclusive one at that. You can rent the whole island for around 15 grand a night.
When you rent the island, we can do whatever our guests wish. So we tailor-make the activities, the meals. We can serve the meals in various locations. We can just do whatever our guests would like.
A guest favorite, and the island's specialty, is flaming Creole French toast.
Creole French toast consists of a nice thick slice of French toast topped with freshly grated coconut. That is taken to the table, and then the waitress brings some Sunset Strong rum, which is actually made in St. Vincent. This rum is very strong and it's flammable. So you light a match at the table after you've poured the rum, and that cooks the coconut a little bit. So it gives it some extra Caribbean Vincentian spice and a little bit of alcohol.
That's really good.
If you can somehow manage to climb out of the hammock after a big plate of Creole French toast. On the opposite side of Young Island from St. Vincent is something pretty cool. If there were 8 wonders of the world, Fort Duvernette would be in the running. A volcanic plug that juts out of the water like a breaching whale. It was once a heavily armed British fort.
The threat was not from, say, the French or the Spanish traveling by sea, but the actual Garifuna who lived on the island of St. Vincent.
Which is why, unlike most other forts in the Caribbean, its cannons point both out to sea and back toward land.
Another reason why the cannons would have been pointing inland is that they're pointing to the port of Caliacua, which was the most important port during the colonial times, and this is where all the sugar was exported. So it was very important that the vessels be protected because they could be attacked by pirates at the time when they're in port.
Makes sense, but wait a minute. Fort Duvernette Island rises 195 feet straight up from the sea. How the heck did the British get those cannons up there? There are theories, but no one knows for sure.
There are 2 ways that it's said that they got up there. One is by pulley from Young Island, because you would notice there are old iron rings at the top of this rock, and you'll also find them over on Young Island, just across the waters. But on the very western side, those cannons, it appeared, would have had to have been pulled up directly from off of a ship.
There's no public transportation to the fort, so the only way to get there is to strike a deal with a local fishing boat. Once you're there, the cost of climbing the 255 steps to the top is $2. Kind of.
You're supposed to pay $2 US, but we don't have any means of enforcing this, so it should cost money, but it really, it doesn't.
While most of St. Vincent and the Grenadines still has the rustic charm of the old Caribbean, there is one place where you can get the best of both the old and the new.
It's got everything that you could want in your room.
The Caribbean island of St. Vincent seems to move through time at a slightly slower pace than the rest of the world.
There actually are modern amenities here, but you still feel like you're back in maybe the 1800s or something, you know, and that's actually nice.
But St. Vincent can't resist the temptations of the modern world forever, and there are signs that things are beginning to change. For starters, construction is underway on an international airport.
This is the biggest capital project in the history of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, very vital to the tourism industry.
I hear about the international airport and I think, wow, great. And in the next breath, I'm thinking, oh Lord, it's, you know, there it goes, the secret's out. You know, it's, but the nice thing about here is that change happens really slowly here. So the international airport will come and it'll still be a little while before the world really gets to know St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I think.
The island is, however, hiding a secret that's very modern, brand new in fact. The ultra-high-end Buckermont Bay Resort, a few miles north of Kingstown, in a secluded bay as lovely as you'll find anywhere. Buckermont Bay is unlike anything else on St. Vincent.
We came in by boat, and as you come along the coastline and you see the hotel in front of you, it's amazing.
We have looked at the various hotel and resort models that there are and really wanted to go about creating something different.
A 5-star, all-inclusive resort in every sense of the word, Buckermont Bay sits in the lap of towering rainforested mountains along a stretch of secluded golden sand beach.
There's no hassle at all. Everything is so relaxed, it's calm.
Most of the accommodations are luxury villas, and they don't come cheap.
Our rates for this year are ranging from for a one-bedroom villa from approximately $1,100 US for the villa per night. That would be for a couple, up to our beachfront 4-bedroom luxury villa, which ranges up to about $3,400–3,500 a night.
Despite the high-priced villas, infinity pools, and gourmet restaurants, what ultimately sets Buckermont Bay apart may just be what sets the rest of St. Vincent apart. To most tourists, it's still a secret.
St. Vincent is a place that many people haven't heard about. And to be quite honest with you, I'm glad they haven't. It's absolutely wonderful.
It is still a bit of a secret island until this comes out.